Rome, when a pope dies, the world watches. But what happens inside the Vatican walls stays hidden. The doors of the Sistine Chapel close. Cardinals from around the globe are sealed inside. No phones, no press, no leaving until a new pope is chosen. But once, in the 1500s, they weren't just locked in with each other, they were locked in with death. Over several days, multiple cardinals collapsed, their lips blue, their skin clammy, their secrets taken to the grave. This is the Midnight Mystery Archive. I'm Kevin, and tonight we investigate one of the Catholic Church's most obscure secrets, the papal conclave poison plot. The year was 1550. Pope Paul III, the last of the Renaissance popes, had just died. A towering figure in the Catholic world, he was known for his lavish tastes, political maneuvering, and deep ties to the powerful Farnese family. His death triggered what Catholics know as the sede vacante, the time when the papal throne sits empty, and as tradition dictates, the conclave was called. The word conclave comes from the Latin conclave, with the key. That's no metaphor. Cardinals are literally locked inside the Sistine Chapel and surrounding rooms. No outside contact, no interference. It's a system designed to protect the process from corruption and find the successor of Peter, whom holds the key. But in 1550, those rules didn't stop death from getting in. The papacy wasn't just a spiritual office, it was political gold at the time. Whoever sat on Peter's throne controlled armies, cities, and the hearts of kings. Inside the conclave were powerful figures. Cardinal Reginald Pole, favored by Emperor Charles V. Cardinal Alessandro Farnese, the grandson of the late Pope. Cardinal Ippolito d'Este, tied to France and known for his ambition. These men didn't just disagree, they represented competing empires, France, Spain, and the Papal States themselves. And in a system where votes meant power, enemies weren't just debated, they were eliminated. On the third day of the conclave, something strange happened. A cardinal collapsed at dinner, pale, vomiting, unable to speak. He died by morning. By the fifth day, two more were dead. By the end of the week, as many as six had fallen. The official cause? Illness. But whispers of poisoned wine, laced bread, and even tainted holy water spread through the marble halls. Rome at the time was no stranger to sickness, but witnesses described the deaths as swift, unnaturally swift. Symptoms included convulsions, foaming at the mouth, and sudden collapse, more in line with arsenic or powdered belladonna than a virus. No autopsies were performed, and no charges were brought, but the message was clear. Someone wanted to control the outcome, and they were willing to kill to do it. When the conclave finally ended, the man who emerged as Pope wasn't the one most expected, and many believed he'd been chosen at the point of a poisoned cup. Was the 1550 conclave the deadliest in church history? Or was it something more subtle, a political purge dressed in robes and incense? Coming up, what happened behind closed doors and who may have orchestrated a silent massacre at the heart of Catholic power. After more than 10 days of locked deliberation, the smoke rose above the Sistine Chapel, not black, but white. The world had a new pope, Giovanni Maria Chiocci da Monte. He took the name Pope Julius III. Del Monte had not been the frontrunner. Cardinal Reginald Pole, backed by Emperor Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire, was widely expected to win. Pole was respected, devout, and a leader of reform. He had nearly been elected in 1549, but his support evaporated in the final hours of the conclave. Why? Some said he grew ill. Others whispered he feared for his life. Del Monte, or Pope Julius III, was a skilled politician. He had served as the presiding judge in the heresy trial of Martin Luther decades earlier. He was connected and experienced, and perhaps, some say, ruthless. Historians still debate who orchestrated the events inside the conclave, if anyone did it at all. But several names surface again and again. Cardinal Ippolito d'Este, tied to French interests. He had reason to eliminate imperially aligned voters. The Farnese family, hoping to preserve their wealth and Vatican appointments after Paul III's death. Supporters of the Medici and Borgia factions, weakened by this time but still active, with long memories and sharper knives. And then there's a possibility of a shadow hand, an outside force working through bribery, poison, or manipulation to steer the outcome. The cardinals who died during the conclave were not random. They tended to fall into one of two categories: those loyal to the emperor or those pushing for a reformist pope. The surviving electors overwhelmingly supported Julius III. Coincidence or careful calculation? We'll never know for sure because no inquest was ever held, no autopsies performed, just whispers and a papacy born in silence. In the Vatican, memory is sacred, and so is discretion. The records of the 1550 conclave are heavily redacted. Many of the death reports were lost, destroyed, or sealed. Even the private correspondence of surviving cardinals makes strange, veiled references to divine punishment and a cleansing by fire. Were they mourning or confessing? After Julius III's election, conclave security became even more intense. Food was pre-tasted, personal servants were vetted, secret passages were monitored, but the idea of political murder in God's house, it never quite faded. And in the centuries that followed, more rumors would surface. The 1550 conclave left behind no fingerprints and no smoking chalice, only silence, and a lingering question: was the Holy Spirit guiding the votes, or something far more human and far more deadly? Coming up, could this have happened again? We examine other conclaves where death came too quickly and too conveniently, and how the Vatican still refuses to answer. Was the 1550 conclave a one time anomaly, a moment of chaos during a dark political hour, or was it just the beginning? Throughout history, other conclaves have ended in sudden deaths, whispered scandals, and convenient illness. Consider these moments. Elected in September of 1590, Pope Urban VII died just 13 days later, the shortest papacy in history. The cause? Officially malaria, but some records suggest he fell ill after refusing to grant key positions to Roman nobles. Clement XIV is remembered for suppressing the Jesuit order, an immensely powerful faction within the church. Within months of signing their dissolution, he became violently ill. Eyewitnesses described vomiting, hallucinations, and internal bleeding. No investigation was ever conducted. His personal physician later fled Rome. During the 1903 conclave, Cardinal Puzina attempted to block the election of a reformer, Cardinal Rampolla. Days later, Puzina collapsed. Again, no autopsy, no investigation, just silence. Across centuries, these incidents followed the same pattern: sudden illness, no public inquiry, and power shifting just in time. To this day, the Vatican archives remain one of the most sealed in the world. Internal conclave documents are kept under lock for 75 to 100 years, and sometimes longer. Historians, journalists, and even cardinals have been denied access to death reports, voting records, and personal correspondence surrounding certain conclaves. In a place where power and holiness intersect, even questions can be considered heretical. In recent decades, some efforts have been made to exhume past popes and test for toxins, arsenic, belladonna, cyanide, but most proposals have been denied. It is not fitting, one official said in a 1987 panel, to disturb the rest of those chosen by God. But if they were chosen by God, why are so many of them dying like victims in a crime scene? In modern conclaves, including those of John Paul I, John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Francis, observers have noted sudden health events, the abrupt withdrawal of candidates, and even rumors of attempted poisoning. In 1978, Pope John Paul I died just 33 days into his papacy. His body was embalmed before an autopsy could be requested. The Vatican claimed natural causes, but some insiders are not so sure. Are we looking at coincidence stacked on coincidence, or a pattern written not in prophecy but poison? Next, what the Vatican still refuses to say, and how the spirit of the conclave may be as political as any parliament on earth. Every time a pope dies, the world looks to the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, waiting for the white smoke and waiting for a name. But few ask what's happening behind the sealed doors. The papacy is a spiritual office, but it also is a seat of immense earthly power that includes political influence, diplomatic leverage, and control over many assets and institutions. And when power is at stake, even in holy places, history shows that people are willing to do unholy things to seize it. Every cardinal who enters a conclave takes an oath, a sacred vow of silence, not just about voting, but about everything they see, hear, or suspect. It's designed to protect the integrity of the process, but it also means that if something goes wrong, there are no witnesses, just silence and smoke. To this day, we don't know what substances were used in 1550, who died of natural causes and who didn't, how many conclaves since may have been manipulated by fear or subtle threats. And we may never know because the Vatican does not revise its truth. Whether the poisonings of 1550 were coordinated or opportunistic, they set a tone that behind the incense and hymns, there is still ambition, still danger, and still men willing to do whatever it takes in the name of God or the devil or themselves. In 2025, as the world watches for a new pope, we still have no idea what happens behind the conclave's locked doors. Only the power is being traded, and history may be repeating. The church teaches that the Holy Spirit guides each vote, but perhaps the most unsettling question isn't whether that's true. It's whether the Holy Spirit is the only one in the room. This has been the Midnight Mystery Archive. I'm Kevin, and thank you for joining us with this episode. If history teaches us anything, it's this: behind every locked door lies a story, and sometimes that story may never be told.